Hey everyone, Sawmill Charlie. Well, it's another Friday night, and here it's been raining all afternoon. Hey Norma, and Mitchell, and Randy, and Stone River, which is so I was working on some labels here. I was running out of Hey Lee and Keith, and anyway, I've been usually putting a label on top of my honey jars that says local honey, but Man Lake has increased the price on that stuff, and it's over 6 cents. Well, it'll be well over 6 cents after you hit shipping and everything. I think I'm just going to dispense with that, and let me go ahead and create a link here so everybody can come in and come on. And there's the link, everyone. Trying to get it centered up here on my screen so I can see everybody. So anyway, um, that's what I've been doing tonight. I went ahead and ordered the granulation stickers, and don't feed your baby stickers from Better Bee, which they actually have a sale going on, and I think it was like 30% off. Normally it is like $11 a roll of stickers, and I got them for like 7 or 8, well, almost $8, $7.95, and which is a big savings. I'll tell you more about it. Yeah, it's $7.95 a roll, and normally they're like $11 a roll. So I went ahead and ordered 10 of them actually, for since I'm saving, especially when you have to order and you have to pay shipping and everything. So, and Jack, are you coming in? Yes, I'm connected. So, hey there, Todd. Hope everything's good out in California. And Darren, making Hawaiian pizza for dinner. Might join later. Okay, Darren. And Randy there. Not sure whether Bob's going to make it in. I think if everybody subscribed to his channel, um, he's had a lot of issues with his mom and medical people and family showing up, and been quite busy for the last couple of nights. Um, Last night I had a good time. I was on our Ricky Rourke's uh, horizontal hive live last night. Uh, he was talking about his horizontal beehives and all that. And there's Doug. Hey, Doug, from up in Canada, DC. And hey, Mike, and all that. So, but anyway, that's what has been happening here. Monday morning, I went ahead and I took and put my carpet, as you can see behind me. That's a picture of my production hives. It's out past my barn. We get a lot of wind here, and I put carpet around them to give them more of a windbreak than um, more of an insulation factor, but it does help keep them warm. And we had several days here that were windy and they were in the 30s, somewhere's around, oh, for the Canadian folks, around 1 or 2 C, which is around 30 to 35 during the daytime. Then we get into the low 30s, or if not in the high 20s. Hey, Shane, and all that. So that's been helping out. And so it's pretty much um, my hives are completely where I, prep for winter. And of course, last week with Thanksgiving here, and that morning I went ahead and, as I call it, vaporized my hives with oxalic acid vapor. That was the second treatment for November. And here we are on the 1st of December. So the next week or two, I'll hopefully have enough weather conditions that are right, around 45 to 48 degrees. And hopefully either on a weekend that's daylight that I can vaporize them at least once or twice in December. And all that. So that's what I've been up to. Anybody wants to come on and give us a talk, it'd be great. Hey, Haas Buzz Homestead, I think you're new. West Central Georgia checking in. That's great. Welcome to the party, as I call it. You want to come on in, you can just click the link at the top. So let's see, read the comments some here. So, Mike, up in Minnesota, is it cold up there, or what's it doing? And there's Mark. Hey, Mark, good to hear from you. And Haas Buzz, you want to come on in? Just click the link. Would like to meet you, talk with you if you can. 14F this morning. That's cold. That's real cold. And Randy got he's got R30 and R10 on top sides of the highs. That's for insulation. Yeah, I've been thinking about. I know a lot of guys use the foam insulation about an inch thick or so on the top of the highs, kind of keep that heat. I'll say the heated dome in a condensed hive. I haven't ran any across any free styrofoam insulation yet lately, so I've been thinking about trying that and everything. But the bees were out. I think it was yesterday, and it got up to just right at 50 degrees. The bees were flying around the mill, around the sawdust piles where it was wet from the previous rain, and gathering water. And So they're bringing in water. I've been putting out a pollen bucket of pollen powder, helping them out there. They've been hitting on that quite a bit. And the so we got, that's going on. And the honeybee compound, it says checked out a spot in Kingsville. That's which is close to me, guys. 6 out of the 23 are totally empty. Now, is it empty of bees or no food? That's the question. Let me reach around here. I'm going to get some paperwork here. All right, Jason says it's the honey. Now, did you feed them? That's the next question. Or did you wait and just use let's say, the spotted lanternfly and the fall honey and didn't feed any sugar water on top of that? And Shane says he uses foam on top of his this year using the reflective one side. However, let's see. Let's get up here. This year, noticed water where last was just foam. Didn't notice any water. All right, says Shane. That means let's see. That's the Reflectex. Is that the styrofoam stuff with hey, Mike, a little dark there.
Yeah, I'm not really certain how to adjust it. This is a brand new machine, but I've got all the lights turned up here too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sorry about that. So deep apologies.
That's all right, Mike.
Yeah, it's maybe
Hey,
Lee will chime in here. And
so what's happening up your way? Snowing and all that good stuff?
well, we got the lake completely frozen over.
Yeah, well, that means it's awfully cold then.
Well, yeah, no snow on it, and it's interesting, Charlie, because the trumpeter swans that we usually have, staying until they're gone already. They've gone to the St. Croix in Mississippi for overwintering. But I didn't realize you guys were going to be getting rain.
Yeah, it started raining here. I don't know. I guess 10 or I guess it was right after lunch, real steady. And now it's supposed to get out of here tomorrow morning. And then Sunday is fairly decent. And then it's supposed to rain several different times next week. The weather, as far as the temperature, it's been sort of doing a roller coaster ride. A couple of days of really cold weather. Yesterday was warm enough, 50 degrees, I'll say, for the bees to fly. And they were like out of the pollen bucket that I gave them. And so today it was a crappy day. Of course, they're all inside. And then tomorrow there might be pretty nice afternoon, and then it's getting cold again Sunday. And then, like I say, next week there's several days it's going to rain. So
yeah, that's going to be interesting because I think we might. I hope our heat's going to come to you next next Thursday or something like that, we might be in the mid to upper 30s.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of a grand thing. In fact, I just got this puppy in the mail here, and
Oh, really?
look at that, it lightens up.
There you coming up.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to go ahead and get that. Uh, that's interesting.
You got
Hoping
that
to
from Laura
get one
B's,
that, yeah, yeah.
Larabi.
I got the Milwaukee battery option, and I just haven't gone to pick that up yet. So, but
As
yeah,
far as
now
a
that
Milwaukee
Doug's on,
battery.
yeah, Milwaukee, maybe 8 amp hour, 18 volt.
Yeah, you want
But
I think it's a minimum of 5 amp hours.
yeah,
8
yeah,
would be nice, but grab a hold of your wallet when you find out what the price of that battery is.
I have, Charlie. I've been dancing around that, and it's pretty interesting. And they've got some very subtle variations too, which is, kind of makes things a little bit more. I don't know how to put it. A little bit.
Well, have you noticed any like Black Friday type deals running right now or Christmas type deals?
Well, actually, what I've been running into is because they're changing the models really subtly, and so I'm seeing one heck of a good price drop. I can get a charger and a 5 amp hour and one variation of the battery for about $115, and that's just a fine start. And I want to get two of them, but trying to figure out what the difference is subtly, Charlie, between the different ones is kind of
As far as the batteries, you mean?
yeah. The variations in the 18 volt Milwaukee. I think right now I know there's at least 6 variations of basically the same battery, and I don't know what the differences are. So kind of playing out on that and so on. But
Yeah, Cajun there. He said he uses a 5, I think. I
yeah,
can't.
and I could definitely get by with a 5, without any problem here for the backyard. But I start moving around to some of the other bee yards that are like a Troy's north here. But he's got a whole plethora of the Milwaukee batteries, so I'm not overly concerned about that. But I just hate to get into a scenario where, let's just say something goes wrong with the battery, and I want to just keep going. I like to have a standby, basically. So
Oh yeah, you got to have at least 2, and
yeah,
that's something that I don't know. They weren't around when I bought my ProVap, and I've got a little Honda suitcase generator, and I've looked at those, and I'm like, the one nice thing about the generator is you turn it on, and it's as long as you don't run out of gas, you're fine.
yeah.
And I don't, and that thing doesn't really burn that much gas when it comes to running that ProVap.
Oh, that Honda is just a fantastic thing, and the level of the voltage. I mean, the evenness, I should say.
Yeah, mine's the one that's keeps the voltage.
Yeah. No, I've
Good.
seen the side by side comparisons. The waveform is just, if I'm going to run anything electronic, aside from a heating lamp, I'd much rather go with a Honda. So hats off to you there, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Doug, I caught your video that you made for Charlie about pouring the creamed honey. That was wonderful. But Russell Koopman and I were kind of wondering how big are those buckets you were making, and who do you sell those to? It was like 7-pound buckets.
No, they're 7 kilogram.
I think they're like
that's
15 pound buckets, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
we sell lots. We sell lots of them.
So who buys a like a 15-pound bag bucket of creamed honey?
Well, we've had one lady buy 6 at a time, another lady buy 10 at a time. I assume they're doing lots of baking.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Doug. It was absolutely zero criticism. It's just a matter of curiosity. That's all.
Yeah, no, I don't know who all buys them, but they sell good.
And by the way, love what you did with the chest freezer, putting that thermostat in there.
Yeah, it works good.
Yeah, because I was going to go out and get a wine cooler or something like that. Well, chiller for the creamed honey. And then I realized, well, wait a second, out in my shop here, I've got this chest freezer. I just put a thermostat in it like you have there. So you saved me a little bit of space and money, sir.
Okay.
But
Well,
we really
what's
didn't
the thermostat on the chest freezer? Does that turn the freezer on and off to cycle to keep it at a certain temperature, or what? How does that work?
I keep it at 55, 56 degrees.
Yeah. So it's an exterior thermostat type of thing, isn't it? Is that how it works? Or do you have a thermostat on the freezer that just you tune it in with that?
No,
You know
it's an exterior thermostat.
Exterior thermostat.
Just run the sensor inside the freezer.
Okay. Yeah, I enjoyed the video and your explanation and stuff like that. And I see about your pump now where it the how the thickness of it is not super thick, but it's pretty thick. About pumping it out into the into the bucket. But I'm like Mike here about it. Does most of the honey in your area, or the people don't really buy running honey? They just buy cream because that's what they've always been used to. Where are they using it in baking or something? Or I mean, somebody buying a big pail like that. Are they supplementing white sugar over with the creamed honey? Do you know, or?
I don't know. We used to be about 50-50 between creamed and liquid. And now just about everybody wants creamed. So we hardly do any liquid.
Yeah.
Well, the size of those buckets, sir, it was really impressive. And by the way, if the rest of the folks haven't gone and seen your little video there, it's a short one, but you got the supply tank, you've got the creamer, and then attached to the creamer, you've got the pump. So it's this wonderful trio of functionality, I should say.
Yeah.
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 That little pump works good. If you stir the creamed honey, it loosens it up to where you can pump it, eh?
Okay. Okay. So you've kind of, the other thing you've kind of got me going on there, Doug, is that I think I'm looking very seriously at getting the Hilco creamer. And honestly, because of price point, to be perfectly blunt. So, but when you're talking about stirring it a bit before you pour it, it makes perfect sense. I've only made creamed honey accidentally. So that's a wonderful thing.
Now is the Hilco, that's the one that doesn't have a heated tank, right?
Yeah, and Russell and I were talking about that a bit. We've started using basically heating pads to thaw out our 5-gallon buckets, and we got to thinking about that, and just to attach 2 heating pads to the outside of that doggone thing, wrap it with Reflectix and so on. But it kind of goes back to why I bought the license extractor, because I can pick that up and move it around. I'd much rather have gotten the American-made Maxent. But the idea of getting a creaming tank without a water jacket for me is just a little bit easier, because I can just pick it up and toss the thing, basically, in comparison to like a big water jacket one. So
yeah, that's one thing. Like I have a Maxent bottling tank, and I had it emptied this year a month or so ago, and got the last year's honey out of it, which was a little darker looking honey. And then I cleaned it out as far as, getting that honey out of there. And like you say, you wanted to tip it over. It's like, no, you're not going to tip it over, because there's a lot of water in this thing. There was 8.5 gallons of water in that thing. And it's like, I did get it to tip a little bit to kind of push it out with a spatula. I got it clean enough, good enough, but like you say, that water in there, there's some weight there. And so I got it well, it cleaned out. Now I went ahead and put all my new honey in there. Which is a lighter looking honey, and now it's it's got, I don't know, 22 gallons in there or more. Hey James, good to see you. And
Like if you're going to make creamed honey, you have to have some method of warming that honey to get rid of any crystals that's in it. So either you
yeah,
need a
thank you.
bottling tank that you can heat or the creamer.
Yeah. No, thank you very much. Really appreciate that a lot. So let's see here. Camo Studio. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to adjust my my camera here. I hadn't tried this thing at all. I'm expecting Lee to jump in here and tell me how
hey,
to.
Len.
Yeah. But
yeah, I was just curious about why. I guess it's like like you say, some people, they are used to, like in Hawaii, I believe it is, out there they don't really have runny honey. They have creamed honey because of what type of honey they have all the time and all.
Yeah, it's my favorite axiom is beekeeping is regional, but something, taste for honey is too. What do we grow up with?
True.
So
Way we have it, whatever we become right now. I mean, I looked at it. It was interesting. The only thing I can do is just pure honey, crystallized honey. I can sell that, but I can't sell any infused honey with any type of flavoring unless it's a commercial kitchen and all this other stuff. But the situation I'm in is that I'm selling all the runny honey I can get. And I actually just bottled up almost 30 pounds here before I came on. And I think it's somewhere around close to 30 pounds sold already this week. If I sell a few more tomorrow, I will be 30 some pounds, which is good when you don't have to leave the house.
yeah.
And that's on a weekly. I mean, I sat down after Thanksgiving and I counted up the weeks from first of the year to Thanksgiving. And I tracked the amount of honey I sell. And the average has been 20 pounds a week.
Really?
Right at the mill. And so now I'm like, okay, how much more honey do I need to get from this point in time till the end of June, where I won't run out, but I'll overlap my honey season. So
Okay.
it's like I'm very close. So I'm not sure whether I'm going to have to buy a couple buckets from a friend of mine or not. He's got nice locust honey like mine. And whether to not buy a couple buckets just to make sure that I don't run out. And then since I've done all that figuring, right now I got 12 honey hives, production hives, and I'm going to up that up to 14. So hopefully I can get between 12 and 1,400 pounds of honey in.
Nice.
Per year. That's what I need to be able to sell.
Okay.
Yeah. Shane, yeah, I run 30 colonies. The way I'm working it is this is some beef. Why not just more boxes? You mean as far as stacking them on top of the hives? Right now, this past year, I averaged 80 pounds per hive. And normally in the state of Maryland, 50 pounds per hive is the norm. So because of my management practices with single brood chamber and demery and stuff, I increased my honey production per hive by 30 pounds. And I did have some queen issues. So I think if I wouldn't have had the queen issues, I would have probably gotten close to 100 pounds, which is very good for us in this area. I know Doug is you get 250 pounds a hive in your area, but you got You got canola number
But
one, and you got 12,000 acres of canola around your hives and all that. Let's see, clueless beekeeping. No more hives. Well, what I'm going to do is right now I normally run 32 hives. Usually that's 12 honey hives and 20 nukes, where I sell nukes in the spring. So what I'm going to do is take out 4 nukes and put 2 honey hives in replace of them. And that way I'll have 16 nukes plus 14 honey hives, which still gives me 30. And I'll up my honey production, hopefully. And I'll still be able to sell 10 nukes to anybody. I've already gotten 7 sold, that have already
Nice.
placed their orders in for next spring. Thanks, Robert. And so, I it's like a lot of these guys, 30 is comfortable for me as far as working this stuff by myself and all. But, years past, yes, I was thinking, 50 hives, somewhere in that neighborhood. And I got up to, I think the one year it was 40 some hives and kind of worked me to death.
you'll have to get that number 3 hive lifter.
For what?
I say you'll have to get that number 3 hive lifter, Charlie.
Yeah. That's another thing I've been thinking about buying is that B3 hive lifter like James has. Horrible record. Yeah, doesn't have a very. Clueless me, but I'd really like to have that hive lifter you got. To be pretty nice. As far as lifting up the hives and working them and stuff like that. But that's never going to happen. I am considering this here hive lifter. James recommended the B3 model, which is the longer model that has kind of like a front end loader, as I call it, over the dolly style. Yeah, Charlie's hive lifter. Yeah.
Actually, I'm a little surprised that you haven't figured out some type of forklift assembly there, because I know you've got some of the equipment.
Well, I have a forklift, but what most people don't realize is a forklift, don't get it out on any kind of ground. You'll stick it just like that.
Oh yeah.
We've had them here where the front wheels are on blacktop and that rear wheels that have all that tonnage of weight on there backed off. It's a little soft ground. Well, then we wind up having to take a chain to yank the thing out of the mud or dirt and all that.
That gets really interesting there, especially when you have to go and get another piece of equipment to get that a piece of equipment out. So, kind of doing that. And honestly, Charlie, I'm just teasing you a little bit because I know the idiosyncrasies of trying to, mess around with a forklift and whatnot. But,
there was some other suggestions where, let's say if I'm harvesting honey supers, most of the time I'm putting the supers in the back of the pickup truck and then taking them to the house, and there's a railing up on the porch. And it's like, well, what, one guy suggested, well, just put your honey supers on a pallet out there and then come with your forklift and, grab the pallet and take it around to your house and then just raise it up to the top of the railing. And then you just take them off and do that kind of stuff. And this year I had some help where they were handing the boxes from the standing in the pickup truck over the railing, and then I would grab them and stick them in the back of the house. The main thing that I do is when I'm harvesting, I only harvest. Thanks, Clay. I harvest what I can extract within. Thanks, Norman. That I can do in 3 days. That way, there's no hive beetle issues or wax moth issues, types of things. And then we had a question here. Some of the guys have been answering the questions. Best way to clean frames with wax moth damage. I would just scrape off the wax and re-wax them and start over again. What would you do, Doug?
A good strong hive will clean it itself.
Would you? Yeah. Hey, Phil.
Hey, Phil.
Or that, or definitely freeze them and kill them, and then let the strong hive clean them up and all.
Yeah, ours are going to freeze, whether we want to or not.
Yeah. Especially in your freezer box country.
Yeah.
So what's Phil doing tonight? Anything special? Looks like you're in the house, or are you in someplace else?
I'm in the house. I'm getting ready for the market tomorrow.
Nah.
I was going to do a little show and tell for you guys real quick. I can't stay on long.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Good to see Mike on here, although I can barely see him.
I'm really sorry. And Philip, please don't hold it against me. When I was in the hospital, I lost it and shaved my mustache off. So.
Oh, no. Are you going to Navi without a mustache?
I honestly, I'm not going to be going anywhere for the next month.
Oh, you're not?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Mike.
Well,
so you were in the hospital, Mike. What happened?
A freak fast-moving infection underneath one of my toes.
Really?
And long story short, they took the toe, and then from my other toes to the back of the heel, I probably got about a 6-inch incision running the whole thing. So it's yeah, it was. I went to see the doctor on Wednesday at 4:40, and she looked at me for about 10 minutes and said, "You're going into. It's a really, really good hospital here." And she said, "Odds are they're going to take your toe." And at that point, you've got a choice between doing that or getting a whole body infection, and possibly losing the foot or killing yourself. So I said, "Yes, ma'am." So.
Take the whole foot.
What was that, like a staph infection or something?
Yeah, pretty much. Technically, I think they call it.
Did you cut yourself or something?
No, Charlie. It was actually underneath a callus that was underneath my left big toe.
Really?
And I had been there all summer, and I thought, yeah, I'm not liking this. So I got to pull it off, and I could smell the rotting flesh. And it was just a little teeny hole. And it just, apparently that was the one thing to do to just make it explode. So it was really kind of interesting. I mean, I had 3 surgeons and 2 infectious disease doctors that were all working on me at the same time. By the grace of God, I got out of there. So
good.
Yeah. So, you lose a toe. It's better than losing a foot or a life. So
definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Let me put the screen up for Phil.
Please. Here. Look at this.
Yeah.
What do you got? A bunch of lids there? No, there's those gift.
Yeah, they're gift baskets I made for market tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're all wrapped. Now I got all in the Christmas spirit, so I decided to try something. I hope it works out, but I'm doing a like a giveaway, a big basket. It's like there's $143 worth of stuff there, and I'm going to sell. Well, I'm going to collect donations. I don't know if you guys can see that for Hives for Hives for Heroes.
Oh, good for you.
And then I'm going to give away that. I'm actually going to have 3 prizes. That's the top prize. The second prize is going to be like a single gift basket, and then the third prize is just going to be a jar of honey. But yeah, I'm going to open this up. I'll make a community post tomorrow, but I'm going to open this up to everybody across the country. I'll pay for the shipping to get it to you if you win it. But and I'll have my Zelle on there. You can Zelle me.
That's wonderful.
But yeah, I made a little poster to stand up next to it. It's got the Hives for Heroes logo.
Excellent.
I probably should have made. I probably should have made my charity Charlie's Hive Lifter.
That's all right.
I'm not sure that would have
Hey,
run.
Philip?
I would have had to explain what's going on there. Yeah, Mike.
In those gift baskets, maybe put something with a little bit of color in there. You know, like some red ribbon or green ribbon. Or...
Yeah, one thing I meant to do before I got on and got distracted was to actually give you guys some light because it's really dark in this room.
Yeah.
But they show up a little better in the sunlight. But
look at that. They're the wood boxes. Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, they're in this dark room in here. But anyway, I'm hoping I sell at least $140 or $150 worth of tickets to at least make sense, you know, for me doing that for them. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Very nice.
All right.
And where are you going to be selling?
I'm selling at the farmer's market tomorrow, and then again in 2 days. And then there's my scout troop has a chili supper tomorrow night, so I'll sell there as well.
Oh.
And I'll offer these on my. I'll try to do some, you know, promote them on YouTube also. We'll see.
Yeah,
So
why not?
Just go to rtxhoneybees.com and you'll have something there on your website.
Yeah, I'll put something like on the front page of that too. That may take me a couple of days to get that, but I'll do a community post tomorrow. So if you're probably most of the people on your channel are subscribed to me, they can see it on my community post. And I'll have the information. It's just my phone number. So I was wondering about putting my phone number out on YouTube, but hell, it's on the front of my website. So I don't know why that matters.
Yeah.
So,
that's okay. By the way, how's your mother?
My mom's doing good as far as I know. I hadn't talked to her since, well, I haven't talked to her in 2 or 3 weeks, but I check up on her through my siblings. I don't talk to her as much because she's not quite as lucid as she does pretty good most of the time. I probably should. I'm being a bad son by not facing it, but
yeah. No, that's difficult to do there. That's I mean, look how hard it is to talk to Charlie.
I know. I heard he was talking about buying a hive lifter. I haven't heard that story yet.
Oh, I've been talking about that for 3 years.
That's what I tell. But you know, my mom tells me I can finish her. She forgets simple words, so I can finish her sentences because it's the same story she's been telling me for 10 years. So you know, I can help her out a little bit.
No, that's grand. Hey, gentlemen, I just wanted to get on here for just a second. And by the way, Lee, thank you again for the suggestion of getting this particular laptop.
Lynn wanted to know, was that MRSA that you had, Mike?
No. You're getting in kind of a weird area there because there were 4 separate bacterias that were in there. So it was kind of it wasn't anything like that. It was a combination and just happened to run through the tissue there. The rate that it went was insane. You know, so, but it wasn't MRSA. It's typically called a diabetic foot ulcer. So
yeah. So you're diabetic too?
Type 2, but that's never been an issue.
I'm a type 2 myself.
Yeah. So So, the good news is that, you know, you got all this going on. I lost about 15 pounds in 5 days. So. And that doesn't include my toe, by the way, before you jump in on that one. So
I saw it, but it's too soon to be making that joke. We'll wait till you really get fully healed before I start picking on you.
There you go.
About that.
In the meantime, I've got a bunch of honey supers and whatnot that need to be restacked. Doug, now that mine are all frozen, I'm stacking them up, getting ready for spring. And luckily, this is really, you got to love your small towns. The mayor of our town is coming over to stack my hive boxes, my supers. he said his job is I forget what it's something like a good serving wench or something like that. So he's grateful for good friends, you know. So
Well, that's good. So the community's helping you out.
oh, it's absolutely fantastic. Friends and family, you know, that kind of stuff. Plus, it's all to their great amusement. And the most common question I get asked is it going to affect your balance? No, I'm pretty damn clumsy by myself. So,
Well,
anyways,
I think the big toe, is it? Was it?
yeah.
I think there is something. The big toe has something to do with that part of it to a certain extent. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
It'll,
It
I'm
really
sure
does
it'll
affect-
affect your, yeah, it'll affect your walk and your balance. I have a sister-in-law that lost her, I guess her big toe and the one next to it in a lawnmower accident when she was a child,
Oh,
actually.
no.
Yeah, she has just a little bit of a funny walk. But
So before I go there, I wanted to, Charlie started out by talking about labels. And I
Yeah,
was just wondering.
I was on the top of my lid. It'll say local honey, and it's a black lettering with clear plastic. So when it hits your yellow top, it makes the black label stand out.
Okay.
You know, and all that. But Man Lake wants $15 for 250 of them, which is 6 cents a piece. Plus, you got to put the shipping on top of that, which I would normally buy at least 4 rolls of them. And I'm like, it's like 60 some dollars plus shipping. And I just, like I say, I just bought, I have the one. There's 2 labels you got to have. Number one, you got to have your front label, it says honey and it says where it, who owns it, which was me. And then the other one is the one about, don't feed it to a baby under 1 year of age. And and about granulation or crystallization. So normally it's like $10 or $11 a roll for 500 of them. And they were on sale. I went to their website, Better Be, and they have a sale thing. I clicked on that, and darn, there's my sticker exactly what I want. And it's for $7.95. It was like a 30-some% discount. So I said to myself, well, every bottle's got to have them. I said, I might as while the price is right, I might as well get 10 rolls. And
Hey, thanks for the tip, Charlie.
But yeah, there's a whole list of product that they've got on sale. And that's some of it's bee boxes and other types of stuff. But anyway, I went ahead and I said, might as well, the price is right, I'm gonna get a bunch of it. And I was getting ready to order some Man Lake stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, that adds up quite a bit as far as money when you're putting them stickers on. It's not a necessary sticker. It's just more of a, what would you call it? A selling point, I guess. And all. So I think I'm going to forego it. Or what I will do is wait till Nobby, go out there and see whether Man Lake's going to have something.
Oh, yeah. Why not?
Some kind of a discount or something,
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Or the only other thing I could do is Better Be does have stickers that have a color background. It says raw honey. It says local and raw honey or something like that. Some little slogan on there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just, I'll see how it works without all the stickers. I got a clientele set up now that I don't think I need to spend that extra money.
Yeah. So here's a question for you guys. One of the labels I was looking at in Avery is, I think it's called I'm bringing it up here. I think it's called a PTE or PET. What is a PET? I imagine that's the material.
Pet label.
Pet's a kind of plastic.
It's a kind of plastic for pet
Well,
bottles.
that's what I thought, but they also have vinyl listed there too. And I was wondering what the difference was between the two.
Hey, Mike, no, I'm sorry. It's not Avery. It's Online Labels.
Okay.
I just use these craft labels for my honey, and it doesn't. If it gets wet, it'll look like hell. But on the Avery labels, on the chapstick tubes, I was just using the matte white, the cheapest thing they had, and I was having a lot of problems because when we were like doing honey testing, every once in a while you'll get a drop of honey on there, and then when you try to wipe it off, the ink runs and all that crap. So when I reordered, I went to what they call a waterproof matte. It looks almost identical, but it doesn't. You can wipe. It can stand some moisture. So that was called just a waterproof matte white. But I don't know what PET stands for.
It says polyethylene trialapolate or whatever it says from.
Yeah, I know that's what.
So just texturally wise.
What Hope says it says crystal clear. Okay. It's supposed to be crystal clear.
Okay.
Oh. Well, that's a grand thing.
And then Lynn says, Philip, she uses the same label you're using.
She uses
the chapstick label. Yeah. Lynn.
Yeah.
Lynn's Greater Baltimore. I'm gonna grab a drink here. I'll be back in a second.
Yeah.
Wait.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to get off of here and start loading the truck, but now Charlie's gone. I guess I better vamp a little bit with you guys.
Yeah, I was just going to get off the phone here and elevate and ice my foot, but that little bastard, he's probably, what he's doing? He's probably making a popcorn run.
He probably is.
Doug, what do you use for labels?
I couldn't really tell you. My daughter-in-law does all that.
Oh, very nice.
I think she gets them from local newspaper here. They do a lot of printing, and I think she gets him to run the labels.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's one reason that I'm resisting going to some creamed honey is because if I do that here in Texas, I have to add a label for the nutrition facts. If I add anything at all to the honey, I have to start selling under the.
You have to put nutrition in or ingredients?
And at both. And I have to put the allergy warning. I have to put the allergy warnings on there. Yeah, you have to abide by the cottage foods law.
Yeah. So can you legally add stuff to your honey without them having a commercial kitchen and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that's what I was telling when you were gone, is that I'm resisting adding anything to it because yes, I can, but I'll have to add the new labeling. And right now I'm selling under the small honey producers law, which really all I have to do is say that it's real honey and say that, put my name on there, and I'm supposed to put my address, but as long as you put a website on there, they'll usually overlook that. So, because even with the cottage food laws, you're supposed to put your address, but they kind of tell people, we really don't want you putting your address on there. As long as we can find you, as long as something goes wrong, we can find you there. They're pretty happy.
So I can get by with my email address. The other thing that I have to list on there is the volume or weight of the honey. Yeah,
I have to do that too. Yeah.
But as far as the commercial, kitchen thing, this is going to be a shout out to anybody who's thinking about doing this. So we have a pretty nice clubhouse here overlooking the lake, and we do have a commercial kitchen there, and I can rent that thing for a day for $50.
Oh, that's good.
Because I'm a member here. So we bring all of our stuff up there and just start cranking it out. And of course, we don't have to do it all there, but we'll film it and document it or whatever. So if you guys have got like a church with a commercial kitchen or some club or something like that with a commercial kitchen, I would encourage everybody to look at what your leases or your rent would be, just to give you another option. That's all.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So just a happy thing there. And, and Phil, by the way, that doesn't include going out in your backyard with a bunch of Boy Scouts and a bonfire.
Sure it does.
You light anything on fire long enough, it's going to sterilize it. But I think they want stainless steel too.
I was thinking about where I was selling some honey in Richland. That's a liquor store, but next door to the liquor store is a donut shop that's been shut down for years. And I think there's only 2 spaces in this whole little building.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about talking to the guy and going, because there's got to be a commercial kitchen in the back of that donut shop, I would think, right?
They would, yeah, they'd absolutely have to have one. I've actually worked in donut commercial kitchens like that. You'd have everything that you need.
Yeah, I was thinking about asking him, hey, if I went over there and cleaned it up, what would they, because I don't know if he's the landlord or I bet he knows who it is. What would they charge me to go in there like twice a year and use that space?
That's a grand idea. See, there you go. Just kind of moving along like that.
Yeah.
So that's well, you guys all have a grand weekend here. I've got to go and get this thing up. So, anyways,
right.
listen,
Well, Mike,
Charlie,
take
try
care
not
of
to
your
drown
foot.
out there.
Hope things.
Yeah, man. I hope you're on the downhill side of that deal. That's a tough deal.
Yeah, it sure appears to be that way. It's I don't really have much complaint and see, he did go and get popcorn.
Yeah.
And now, Mike, what you need to done there is all you had to do is pour some of your honey on there, and it would have killed everything.
Well, there's a little bit of irony about that because that's what I initially did, and
Really?
that the hole in my toe actually started, healing from the outside.
Oh, but the infections. Oh, man.
But it was deep. I could actually put a Q-tip down in the hole. And when I noticed
Ooh.
that hole wasn't getting any shallower, that's when the old crap moment. But when I cut off my, or almost cut off my right toe, this has not been a good year for feet. Drawing over some sheet metal in the yard over at Vince's, and I just every day I spray that thing down with peroxide, scrub it, dry it out, and then pack it with honey. And my doctor looked at that and he says, I really can't prescribe honey, but keep doing what you're doing. I'm like, okay, never mind. Anyways,
All right.
Well, nice seeing you all. Doug,
You
All right, Mike.
Sawmill, and don't forget to sting that like button.
Oh, I got to do that. I got to do that on my computer here.
Yeah.
It is
Okay,
stung.
guys. Well, God bless and have a good weekend.
All right. You too, Mike.
I see it.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, see you.
So, yeah, I'm going to have to jump off of here too, Charlie, because I got to go load the truck. If I don't load at least half of it tonight, I'll be late for market in the morning.
Right. That's fine.
But yeah, it's good. I'm going to actually be listening to you on my computer while I'm working though. And I'll jump back on if you guys are still on in, half hour or so.
Yeah,
All
we'll
right.
probably go till about 10 tonight and all. But yeah,
All right.
actually I bottled up, I don't know, about close to 30 pounds tonight, and just hopefully I wouldn't run out for tomorrow sales. All right, Doug, we're up. So is it snowing up there, or is it just regular weather?
Sunshine and 0 today.
32 degrees and sunshine. And so I know you said that you had a lot of orders for creamed honey there. I know you did a couple more barrels, I guess, that you were talking about last week.
I just pumped another barrel today. I'll have to let that cool, and then I'll put it in the creamer tomorrow.
Okay. So you had it in your I was going to ask you about that. You got that 55-gallon drum. Now, what do you have, some steel or some wood down in there to keep the water to get the water to underneath the bottom of the barrel?
Son-in-law made us a stainless steel barrel to hold that. And it's got flanges in the bottom to keep the barrel right off the bottom.
Right.
And then just a electric hot water heater element goes in there.
Yeah, I've seen the emergency heater in there. And I guess the foam, that kind of keeps that heat down in there, in the water and all that. And then you had that, I'll say, Flectex or whatever it is around the top of the barrel and stuff. So you got it. Yeah. Now, when you put that barrel in there, is it solid, crystallized, the whole barrel, or is it just got some crystallization about it. Or do you know? You know what I mean?
The whole barrel is crystallized.
Is it solid? Pretty much?
Yeah, it's solid. It's solid from the top to the bottom.
Really? And then how long do you say it you cook at in that
I've got a
heater?
bad connection here. Everything keeps breaking up on me.
Okay. How long do you keep the honey in the water tank, heating tank? Can you understand?
It's about 24 hours
Is that it, huh?
to melt it right. Yeah.
And then you pump it up through the filter into the bottling tank. Of course, the bottling tank is heated, and then you wait till it gotta. I guess the bottling tank you heat it to where you know you don't have any crystals in there, and then dump it into your mixing
Into the
tank
creamer,
or your
yeah.
creamer. And
Yeah.
how many pounds of seed do you have to put in that creamer to make 40 liters or whatever it is of?
Not a lot. I'll probably have 5 or 6 inches of creamed honey I leave in the bottom of the creamer for my seed for the next go around.
Oh, okay. So that's how you do it. You leave so much in there, and then you dump the new honey on top of it. Now you don't let that get hard, do you? You kind of keep it liquefied, I guess. So
well, I'll let it sit. It'll cream fairly hard, but once you add the liquid honey in and start that machine up, it'll stir everything up again.
Stir everything all up. Okay. How's Tom doing?
I'm doing good, Charlie and Doug. I came on to rescue you since Doug might be having problems.
I seen in the chat there. I seen in the chat you put out a video about making a long lang hive or something.
Yeah, I got a shipping cart last year, and it's huge. It can hold 100 frames.
Really?
And it actually is 2 long straw deep, and I made 12 4-frame 4x4 on top of each other, Queen Castle mating nukes basically. And I had to be creative of how to get the bottom frames out, and how to get the top frames out and then get the bottom frames out.
Well,
So,
did you tie the 2 frames together?
nope. No, I actually took 2 copper end caps, 1/2-inch copper end caps, and screwed them on each end of the board. And then I got a dowel pin going across, so I can just remove the dowel pin on both that front and back, and then I can pull the bottom frames up.
So
I pull the 4 frames out.
Yeah. So what do you have? A set of rabbit ears down there that's the bottom frames are resting on. Then you have another set up here for the other top. Then you line the frame. Huh?
Yeah, but on the top, I can't have wood there because I can't get the other bottom frames out. So I'm using dowel pins going across the back and front to hang the frames on.
Oh, okay. Because
Yeah,
I was on Ricky Rurick's show last night, and they were talking about that, and they were talking about where they had a frame, I'll say 2 deeps, where they were joined together, but the bottom frame didn't have any ears on it. So it would about extracting that. Now, Donna, one of my members in my local club, her husband built a insulated long lang because she has back problems. She had to actually get operated on. That's why. And what they did is they zip tied together the 2 frames on the bottom, top to the bottom. the
Right.
bottom of the other frame. That way they could pick the whole thing completely up out of there and then cut the zip ties and then extract and whatever.
Mine are totally separate frames, just like on a double deep box. But instead of pulling the whole top box off, I just pulled 2 dowel pins out.
I know Lee talked about the guy on there last night was Ken. He had his, they would slip apart, but the one didn't have any ears on it. That was what the one guy
Right.
was concerned about.
So yeah, I just did a little 4 or 5 minute video on how I came up with this idea.
I have to look at that up, look it up.
Yeah, it's
Russell,
just a short.
yeah. Russell Koopman says, Doug, he enjoyed your video on your creamed honey operation.
Well, I hope it gives somebody a bit of help anyway.
Mm-hmm. And Shane says, is a creamer the same as a honey jarring and warming tank? No. It's well, a creamer has like a warming tank, but it's got a set of it's got a paddle in there. It's got a motor on it, kind of like a extractor, but you set it in timing where it stirs the cream honey 15 minutes out of an hour. And I think it wants to do, Doug, for 3 days. It does it for that. It stirs the honey.
Yeah, 3-day cycle.
It's a 3-day cycle.
Yeah, 3-day cycle.
And it's a specialized machine and all. You have to go to Doug's website and you can see all that. He shows you all the steps and everything.
Depending on the honey, you may have to do it for more than 3 days.
Yeah, I mean, well, yours is yours a licensed creamer or something else? You know, Doug?
Yeah, it's a license.
Right.
It's the license.
Yeah, Shane, I do know license. You can use I think they have the bottling tank, the one that's heated. You can also put the creamer attachment to it. I think that's how that works. So yes, they do sell the attachment. So what else is happening, Tom? I guess your hives are all put away for the winter, and what's the weather like?
All packed up. Got sugar bricks on top of them, 6 pounds and some loose sugar. I insulate my bottoms are always insulated anywhere from R20 to R30 underneath my hives. That keeps my queen from going up to the top box during the wintertime. She typically stays down the bottom box. And then I just insulate the top lid, and that's about it. I don't wrap my hives or nothing.
What was it? What's on the bottom now? R30. What's that about now?
R20. I buy high density board, and I put R6.5 R density boards underneath the hives. So it gives me about R13, R12 right there. And then I use 2x4s that I put together underneath that. And I know that's got some R value.
And that's closing the bottom of the hive up, being a screen bottom board is what you're saying?
I use solid bottom boards. I don't use screen bottom boards.
But then you're putting an insulated board underneath your bottom board?
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, I cut a piece out because there's that little gap on the bottom board. I put a piece there, and then that sits on top 2 more pieces. So I have 3 layers of R6.5 high density board on my hives.
And then you put it on top, but you don't put it around the sides.
Correct. I basically take the inner cover off and put my insulation board for the inner cover and put my lid back on with a shim to hold the sugar bricks.
Okay.
So that's how I overwinter my hives. It seems to work for the Ohio Valley region.
Right. Well, only thing I do is I put the coroplast in there to cover up the screen bottoms,
Yeah,
and then I use wedges to tighten that up that I make. And that way, when I hit them with oxalic acid vapor, it pretty much keeps about 95% of it from being leaking out. And like I say, the hives right behind me there, because they're exposed to the wind, I cover them up with carpet.
yeah, mine are blocked by the hill, and a bunch of cedar trees that my neighbor has. So
Yeah, well, the rest of it's
that's
got.
not a big issue for me.
I got a building like you got there, where I put them beside that building, and the building is the wind block.
I have that plus the trees in front of them.
And then Doug there, he's got, what is it, 4 hives on a pallet, and you kind of push them together, and then they wrap them with like a bee cozy type thing. So that's how he winters outside. So it's kind of the same.
Right. That's his wind block.
So
yeah, it seems to work pretty good. Now my horizontal hive, I have basically almost 3 inches wrapped all the way around it, all year round. So I don't even have to do anything to that one.
yeah,
I built.
There's a lady in my club that she makes these wraps. She gave me one to do a demo on, and I looked at it today. It looks like it's got the Reflectex in there, plus let's say a nylon style outer shell, and then she has regular clip snaps to like buckles to put it together with, and all that. But I'm not sure. I thought it would be more of an insulating thing than it would be what it is. So I'll have to talk to her about it.
Yeah, I've been running this new bottom setup now for 2 years, and I found out my queen pretty much stays in that bottom box all year round. I mean, she'll move up to the top box, the second deep box, if she runs out of room, but she'll go right back down to the bottom because I think it's because it's always warm down there.
Well, I was just thinking about that, because if you're doing a condensed hive, you got the heat dome in the top end of that box, and that. So if you
but I shake all mine. I shake all mine down into singles during the winter time. I don't run doubles in the winter time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I just put the shim and the sugar bricks on top of them. And the sugar bricks will get me into about the middle of February. And typically by February, I'll have a 60-degree day and I'll check them. If I got a January day towards the end of the month, I'll check them then.
So
typically January is pretty
you're putting
cold.
a shim to put your sugar bricks on, or are you putting a candy board on?
I put a shim in.
Mm-hmm.
That's just an inch I think it's about 1.5 inches shim to put the sugar bricks on. That's just so the sugar, I can put the insulation board and then my lid back on.
Right. Doug, do you do when you winter? Are you doing 2 deeps? Double deeps through the winter time?
2 deeps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got a few hives that way, Billy, but I found out a couple of years ago I don't need to leave all that honey on top of them. They have to skip that honey half the time and eat the sugar.
Yeah, they'll do that.
So I let them plug the nest up in the fall time, and then put the sugar on top of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're still heavy. I mean, when I do them, pick them up.
Right.
Not as heavy, but they're still pretty heavy. Now, if I was up north, I probably wouldn't be able to do that, like where Doug is.
We use 2 boxes, so we have lots of bees. Come spring, they'll still have lots of honey left in the one box. One box they'll hardly touch. We could winter on one, but in order to get lots of bees, we have 2 boxes.
Is
No, I
that
don't
because
use that
she
on
goes up?
bees.
Does she brood up in the top then through the winter time?
No, there won't be any brood.
Yeah, I mean,
We
my,
won't-
my
we
bottom
won't-
box probably has just as many bees as if I had 2 boxes.
Right.
And then when March comes, I put my box back up on it. Take the shim off.
We won't have any brood from about the 1st of November till about the middle of March. Then in the middle of March, we'll start getting just a small circle in the center of the super.
Yeah, we're probably just a couple weeks ahead of you.
And Shane there, he said,
Yeah,
he's
I mean,
leaving
my
honey
bees are still
on
flying.
out of a winter. It's kind of like me. The girls are a breaking cluster, and if it didn't have that much feed on there.
Yeah, my bees are still flying at least one day a week. So I
Mine
still
are.
got
Yeah, mine
I
have
still
been
got an
fine this
outside
week.
feeder 2-to-1 on them. So when they do fly, at least they get a little bit of food.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah,
got up to 50.
yeah, mine flew, I guess, a couple times this week.
Yeah,
Now,
I got up to 54 today. So
yeah,
I figure I'll let them keep filling the boxes up. But that's not for everybody.
yeah, it just,
Charlie, Russell's asking me if you keep stirring the creamed honey, will it stay soft? A lot of that just depends on temperature. If you can keep it 90 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, it'll stay in a kind of a soft state. Yeah, you could probably stir it for a couple of weeks. But if you're a room temperature and in there, it's going to go pretty solid on you.
yeah, I did some configurations here. There we
I
go.
don't think I got anything else really new going on.
Right.
Getting ready for the show in a few weeks.
You're going down to Nobby, right?
Yeah, it's only an hour and a half drive for me.
How
Maybe
many?
an hour 45 minutes.
Where do you
Pretty
live
easy
at?
drive.
Where you live at, Tom?
Cincinnati,
All right.
which is in the very south.
We're planning on leaving on a Tuesday, and my friend, we're gonna stop and see her son. They lives in what's the town above Cincinnati? Dayton.
Columbus, Dayton.
Dayton.
Yeah.
And then from what I seen on the map, take 71, 75, goes right down Dayton through Cincinnati.
Yeah. Then you split off 71. Take 71 right. Follow the Ohio River basically on the Kentucky side all the way to Louisville. And people fly on that road.
You
once
can.
get on it.
Let me look at the map here.
Yeah. So I got 3 cousins that live in Louisville. So I might go visit them too.
Right.
Yeah, so Yeah, so I just hop right on 75. It probably takes me a whole 8 minutes to get on the highway, 10 minutes, and 75 to 71,
Right.
right in, basically right into downtown Louisville.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah,
Trying
I
to get.
think it's like 10 miles between the two cities. Yeah, at least at 68 degrees. Our weather's only going down to 50 tonight, 49.50. I think that's what it is right now. Oh, it's 52. Yeah, it's still 52 degrees. So
I can't seem to get it to.
update. Yeah. Let me do it. I'll do it on my phone. It's easier.
Going to Dayton, Ohio, and then you're going to 75 is what it looks like to
Yeah,
me.
it's 75 and you go all the way through Cincinnati on 75, but once you get to Kentucky, it's 75/71. They combined. And then about another 45 minutes drive down into Kentucky, 71 splits off to the right
Yeah, I
and goes
see
to
that.
Louisville, where 75 goes down to Lexington.
Okay. Now my question is it looks congested in the area of Cincinnati, or is it?
It can be. Yeah, right now it's saying an hour and 50-minute drive, 118 miles from my house.
Yeah, um yeah, I think it was like 2.5 hours from Dayton.
That about right.
So my concern is that yes, I can go from Baltimore to Louisville, and it says it's basically 10 hours. But you got restroom breaks, you got
Yeah,
food stops right there. If you
right,
go to a Cracker Barrel, there's an hour going right there.
right.
So
Make a whole
she wanted to stop it and see some friend. They were going to meet us alongside the road someplace at a restaurant and then go out to her son's. And I'm like, let's leave a day early. We'll get that
right,
far, which is about 8 hours or so. That's enough for me for driving for a day. And
right,
and that kind of thing. And then all I got is 2.5 hours. Well, then Ricky was talking about getting together, Ricky Rourke, Wednesday night for a supper together amongst all beekeepers and stuff. So I said, well, that
man,
way I can get into Louisville and not be super tired or anything like that. And
right,
we can do all that kind of stuff. And if you go through West Virginia, you got all them mountains and everything and you don't know what, the weather is iffy and that kind of stuff.
right,
It's just like here a couple of days ago when it was cold here, it was snowing out in Western Maryland.
right. In the hills, the mountains.
Out in the mountains.
Don't get all choked up on that popcorn.
Yeah, I know. You get a little bit choked up on that.
Right.
So, anyway, so you're right outside of Cincinnati.
Right. On the west side of Cincinnati.
Mm.
I'm 3 miles from
What
Kentucky.
town? What town are you in?
A little town called Mack. it shows up on the map. I'm just south of I'm between 74 and the river. So if you draw a line where 74 and 275 connect down
I
to the
see it.
river.
I got Mac. I see it now.
Okay.
I see it.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the Ohio and Kentucky River. Okay. I got it now.
Yeah. So I'm actually like 3 miles from the river and 6 miles from Indiana. So a lot of times I go out to eat. I actually eat in Indiana sometimes.
Yeah, I know where Mac.
So
I can
this-
see where. So I see where it's kind of like white, like a lot of white area here instead of green area. Is that densely populated area, or is it not so much densely populated?
It's half and half where I live. It's actually almost mountains where I live. It's 300-foot hills,
Mhm.
drops, and all the roads are either following the creek or they're on the top of the ridge.
Hmm.
I live on top of the ridge, so all my shit goes down to the creek.
Right.
So,
Okay.
I don't know why
Well,
we
I'm
should
glad
be
that
right.
I'm glad that you come on so we could discuss all that because I was
So I got
curious.
the Mitchell Memorial Forest literally half mile from my house. I got the Miami Whitewater Forest about 7 miles from my house.
Mhm.
And I got the Mount Airy Forest about 10 miles from my house.
And these are all
Actually,
state parks or whatever, forest land.
yeah, state forests areas. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's pretty. Um, I can in a 30-minute and actually in a 20-minute drive from my house, I can cross 3 rivers and be in 3 states in 20
Hmm.
minutes. Cross the Great Miami River, then the Miami Whitewater River, and then the Ohio River. And I'll drive from Ohio into Indiana, then into Kentucky. Going over that bridge over in the Indiana, Kentucky area, the 275 bridge. If you got the map
Well,
up.
when you're driving these interstates where you're living at, is that all in that kind of flat ground, more or maybe rolling?
No.
No.
From Dayton to Cincinnati, it's not too bad. It's just rolling hills
Mhm.
or long hills going downhill a little bit. When you get on into Kentucky, it's pretty hilly. It's all up and down. In fact, if there's semis on there, they'll go 40, 50 degrees up the hills, and then they'll go 90 degrees down the hill, 90 miles per hour down the hill. So you got to stay out of their way. They'll run you over.
Hmm.
Those big loads.
Right.
You know, you'll be surprised. It's more hills than you think. You get
Well,
up north of Dayton and Columbus, and it's flat as can be.
yeah, I've
But
been up in that area.
once you get south of Dayton and Columbus area, it gets pretty hilly.
All right. And hopefully in that
I
time that
think,
we're not going to get any snow.
yeah, it could be. Back in 77, we had the blizzard. 78, 25 below, and I don't know how many feet of snow.
Mhm.
So it doesn't snow too much in Louisville. In fact, they don't even hardly have any snow equipment.
Really.
There's about a 10-degree difference between Cincinnati and Louisville. Well, I'd say 5 to 10 degrees.
Bruce,
Amazing.
I'm close to Baltimore, Harford County, which is kind of like I'll say the northeast corner of Maryland, right along the
Yeah.
Pennsylvania line.
You get a lot of snow then. There's northeasters.
Nah, well, last year we didn't get no snow at all.
Yeah, we didn't either. I think we got 10 inches.
When I was a kid, we used to get a lot of snow, like from Christmas or Thanksgiving on. Anymore, we hardly get any snow at all.
That's about the same deal.
Uh,
It can get cold here. It can be sunny and 0 degrees.
hmm. Yeah, that's the only downside about moving this. I mean, I can see why he moved there, size wise, uh, central airport hub, and all that kind of stuff. Hey, Grammy,
Hey,
Lisa,
Lisa.
and anyway, um, it like I say, doesn't snow much anymore, which doesn't
I
hurt.
had my
Doesn't hurt my
I
feelings.
had my pick. I live in southern part of Kentucky to the very northern part of Tennessee, probably about central Tennessee
Mhm.
or Kentucky, because they don't get any snow down there.
Yeah, I know that.
It's
Yeah, like you said, they moved to Kentucky, but I'd rather been down in Tennessee. A lot
just
more
south
warmer.
or mid Kentucky on down. But I'm not a big fan of Kentucky, the
Hmm?
state. I'm not a big fan of the state of Kentucky or the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not a state.
I don't know. Don't know much about it.
Yeah. When people say there's 50 states, no, there isn't. There's a couple Commonwealths. I think there's another, is it Virginia or
Virginia,
something?
Virginia is a Commonwealth,
Yeah, Virginia, Kentucky are Commonwealths.
and also Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I don't know what that really means, but
No, I don't either. Yeah, I have
so.
no idea.
But anyway, Republic of Texas, yes, they would be. I
Yeah.
know the history behind that is they're would join a union, but they wanted to be self or what would you call it, independent of the United States.
Independent. Ohio's a state of Ohio.
Yeah. Well, Doug, anything else is happening up your way?
Oh, pretty quiet, Charlie.
No, I guess you're really not doing anything in the bee yard or in the bee, except for cream and honey or something like that. Oh, I've seen your video about is it your son putting up solar panels?
Yeah, we did that last couple of days. Warm
That's
enough we
good.
could work barehanded.
So is that you think that'll help you out on your price of electricity?
It'll pretty well make him self-sufficient at his place with that outfit.
Oh yeah.
Doug and Charlie, you probably don't know. I run 16 panels, 200-watt panels.
Oh, you do.
Yep. And I have 12 200 amp hour batteries. So I can handle about 4 days of no sun. And I run 40
We
amps
put
in my
up
house and my
32.
barn.
What's that, Doug?
We put up 32 350 amp panels. I'm
Okay.
not up to date on all the system he's got inside there.
So he's probably got a 100 amp system, 120 amp controller.
No, he said something about he's
Well-
got 240 amps he's put into a panel.
240 volts, probably.
Or volts, I meant, yeah.
Yeah, he's probably an 80 amp or 100 amp system, which would be enough to run most houses 100%. You'll find out the key is those have battery storage because I
Yeah,
don't know about your area. We have a lot of cloudy days.
Well, do you sell the electricity back to the power company?
No, because you don't make any money doing that. I just
Yeah.
substitute. I just removed the utility panel and ran my house electric into my panel. I put my own panels in, my load panels. Being an electrical engineer, I know how to do all that stuff.
Well, then the
Um,
thing what I'm asking is what happens when you need the power grid?
Because I have it that it will back up. I have my utility as my backup. So it will charge my batteries up if my panels can't keep them charged. So it works pretty good. So instead of me helping the utility company, your utility company helps me for backup
my
on
son
40
is a
amps.
my son is a journeyman electrician, and he works with this kind of stuff all the time. But my
Yes, he
understanding
knows.
is his system, it'll be his main power supply. If he needs supplemental power, it'll come in through the grid.
Right, through a transfer switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't go with the transfer switch. I actually went put a whole different another load panel in right and put it right next to my utility one in my basement and moved the wires over. The 110 volt number 12 or number 14 over.
Lisa wants to know: are you using LifePo batteries?
I have a couple different brands, but they're deep cell lead batteries, marine type batteries. They're rechargeable batteries. And those 200 amp hour batteries weigh about 150 pounds. They're not light.
Yeah.
So I learned this year when I bought 4 more of them, I can still pick up 150 pounds up to my chest, put them on a table.
So how long will them batteries last then?
Yeah. Well,
They're guaranteed for 10 years.
Hmm.
So 10 years and whatever after that. Yes.
my son had the
Mine
courier
ran
deliver
10 years.
You're
the courier delivered the batteries here, so I got to find out how heavy they were. They were damn heavy.
Yeah, they are.
well, they
I
were
didn't
on
go with
pallets,
lithium.
right, Doug?
Yeah, on the truck they were, but not when they got
Yeah.
into my garage.
Hmm.
The lithium batteries are lighter, but lithium batteries is not a good technology,
Really?
not a safe technology.
Well, so those batteries will last 10 years.
Yeah. And the panels will degrade 20% after 10 years, the monocrystalline panels. Now, they do have a new panel out that's a little over 50% efficient. The panels I have are 22% efficient. I'm sure Doug's probably got the same type of panels. They do have a new panel out that's 52, 53%, but they're really pricey. But maybe in
Reflective,
5 or 10 years, the price will be down on those, and I'll just take my panels and swap them out. That's my game plan. And
is yours reflective on both sides?
what's that?
Are your panels reflective on both sides?
No,
These
just
aren't either,
one.
but these aren't either. But I think they would be a good deal here when we have many months with snow. You'd get a lot of light reflecting back off the snow.
Yeah, but your panel will put, yeah, that'd probably be not bad. Now, I built my own rotary system, dual axis linear actuators on them, just like the ones you can buy. So my panels actually rotate. I got 8 and 8 on each one. They go 180 degrees.
So what do they do? Follow the sun?
Yeah, yeah, just like that. They pitch this time of year. They're pitched pretty far.
I mean, as far as back, you mean like flat?
Well, yeah, right now they're not flat. They're straight up and down, almost. But they follow the sun. I got a sun sensor on them. So, in fact, that's one of the things I want to do this winter. I'm going to design a new controller myself and use the longitude of the sun per every week or every 2 weeks and follow the calendar sun location versus the sun. So in the semi bright cloudy days, the panels will still be getting some charge. When there's when it's cloudy out, they go flat
Right.
and not ideal. So one of my new things I'm going to do is write my own little controller and my own little code.
So you're going to sit there and
I
write a
write-
computer program that knows where the sun's at
Well,
whatever.
yeah, by calculations, by what time of year it is, where it should be in the sky, and move it to that physical angle mathematically versus the sun, physical location of the sun.
Mhm.
That way, it will always travel no matter if it's cloudy or sunny. And if the sun peaks out for a few minutes or it gets pretty bright skies, at least I'll get some charging. That's about the only caveat I see about these dual axis rotating ones. So that's one of my little goals this winter to start building one. I already looked at boards I could buy for about $30 and then
I was
program it.
talking to a guy, one of my customers who was in electric, and I seen he had a solar panel there and he was charging the battery up or something like that. And I said, well, why don't you, that's what he does installs. He said, I wouldn't have them. I said, why is that? He says, the day you put them in is the best day, the, the most efficient. But he says they degrade over time.
Yeah, heat gets them.
Huh?
So the silicone starts turning yellow. The heat turns the silicon that's back in between the photosensors turn yellow. But the old panels up to a few years ago degraded 80% in 10 years. These
Maybe
new
that's what,
panels
maybe
only-
he was, this has been several years ago. So probably it was the older stuff.
Yeah, the new panels only degrade 20% after 10 years. But yeah, so my panels aren't as good as they were when I first put them in.
So what's the ones you were saying they degraded or they were 50% or something?
50%. Yeah, the old panels used to only be about 10 to 13% efficient. These new panels that you can buy now are 22 to 23% efficient, and they only degrade 20% versus 80% in 10 years. But the newest panels they just came out with are 52 to 53% efficient.
Okay, so they can get 50% or so
Of the
energy
sun converted.
converted from the sun, and they only degrade
I
20%
don't
over
know
2
what
years.
they degrade even less, but I don't know exactly what that is. The newest ones.
Mhm.
They're like $3,000 a panel right now. I looked into buying one or two, but that's too pricey for me.
Right.
How much a kilowatt is your power on the grid down there now?
Um, well, I don't know. It's rated as I got a 40 amp controller on it. So at 110 volts, I can run 40 amps. So I'd have to calculate that out for kilowatt amp hour. But my batteries I have 12 200 amp hour batteries of storage. It's a 48 volt system.
But off your main power grid that supplies power in the state, how much a kilowatt hour do you know?
Oh, no, I never calculated that.
Like our power is expensive. It's 16 cents a kilowatt here. And then we
I
have a
think
stupid
I
carbon
think
tax on top.
it depends on where you live at, Doug. But I think around Baltimore area, I'm gonna say 11 cents, something
I
like
think
that.
I'm 11 cents.
But now that depends.
Yeah.
I mean, we have one plant is nuclear, and then there's some other hydro plants around and stuff.
But you'll find out your utility company will have a minimum payment that you'll have to pay no matter what, even if you don't use up 1 kilowatt hour. And where I live, it's for Duke Energy, where I live, it's $40 a month. And 6 or 8 of my months, I pay just $40 a month for my electric. And I try to use all of my $40 worth as much as I can.
Yeah, Robert says it's 13 cents in Central Ohio.
13, okay. Yeah, it's not cheap, and they keep raising it. So it might be 13 now.
And I
But
believe Robert's.
I gotta pay $40 a month if I even don't use it.
Yeah, Robert's. I think around he's north of
33
Columbus.
cents.
Wow, Todd pays 30.33 cents. Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, that's because there's cancer out there in California.
Lee asked if I'm parallel. My batteries are in sets of 4 and they're in parallel, but my 3 sets of 4 are in series. So I got 4 12 volts, which are in series. I had that backwards. And then my 3 sets of 4 are in parallel.
Doug's paying, what is it, 16 cents, Doug?
Yeah.
He's up at 16 cents.
I'm a mile from the Manitoba border. Their power is 9 cents a kilowatt. I'm just about double what theirs is.
Yeah. I figure it'll be less than 3 years. I'll have my system paid off, my investment. So,
Yeah, well, thinking about that, you put in X amount of thousands of dollars. Of course, like you said,
right.
you did a lot of it yourself, which I'm sure saved you quite a bit
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah, it cost me about 3,800, almost $4,000 of all between all the wiring, the control panels, all the hardware. But
What about
my electric bill would probably be
what about
250,
the
300
panels
bucks
and
a
all
month.
that? What about the
What's that?
panels? Is that including the panels?
Yeah, that's including everything. The panels, the brackets, the controller. Yeah, but I built some extra frames. I made the frames a little bit stiffer that came with it. So some steel there. I calculate my whole cost was just under $4,000. But I figure in 1 year I'm paying off almost, I don't know, $2,000 a year. I mean, 200 to 250 bucks a month, $200 a month I'm saving, right now, paying
Right.
it back. So, and they just raised it a lot just coming this year. They raised it last year.
Hmm.
I really didn't do it because of that. I just wanted to do it in case I know how good our electrical grid is. I know I could probably take out just three substations and take out 2/3 of the United States. One of them would take out the whole Northeast and most of Ohio. Just one station. It'd be very easy to take out our grid.
Right.
Very easy.
Yeah, we had one windstorm put us out of power for 3 days here.
Right.
Yeah, they had that, like you were talking about that snow. We had, I guess the electricity didn't go down, but it blocked everybody in. They had to walk everywhere because it was so deep, and it took the county a long time, or over a week, to get all the small roads taken care of and stuff.
Yeah, we get ice storms more than anything than snow.
Really? Now that's even worse
Yeah,
than snow.
yeah, because we get a quarter-inch plus ice storm, and it gets on those wires or on those trees, and we lose electricity for quite a few days, taking down the power lines and poles.
Now Norman was talking about in the 80s a solar flare knocked out of the power in New York and Quebec. I don't remember hearing anything about that.
That's when there was a population explosion 9 months later, Charlie.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Really?
And then wasn't there some substation that went out a few years ago, and it took out a pretty big grid up the Great Lakes up to the northeast? Was it the
I don't
same
know.
one?
I do know that up here close to my house in Pennsylvania, we had a storm, and there was a substation in the community, and it took it out. Now I forget how many weeks they were out of electricity, but usually they have those tractor and trailers that are like portable substations, and they didn't.
Yeah, but one of those little trailers is 1/10 of us, or not even a touch of what a whole substation is.
Yeah,
You'd need 10 of those trailers parked on some of those substations.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but those GE ones, Tom, like those generators they have on the trailers, those will run a small community, right? If we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, I did one time ago. I did a top secret project for the military with putting power stations in trailers and keeping them light enough that they could parachute them down anywhere they wanted,
Yeah.
basically. And they could run a small town, or not a town, but I don't know, probably
Couple blocks.
150 houses, 100 houses,
Yeah.
something
Small
like that.
village.
A small village, yeah.
Well, really,
It was all,
that's one housing development today.
yeah, yeah. It was
Well,
mostly so they could power up their computers and power up some generators and stuff
Right.
like that to drop in the deserts or whatever they needed to drop them.
So Tom, I wanted to ask you more about your configurations, like how, because you said that you just insulate the top and the bottom.
Yeah. Well, I run my hives on stands on 4x4s. I got 3 of them stacked up together so it's wide enough, so no gaps in between them. Then I run 2 layers of 1-inch high density board. Maximum company makes a R6.5 1-inch thick high density board. And I put 2 of those on top of the 4x4s. And then underneath my bottom board, I put another one because there's a gap there and I didn't want that air gap. So I have 3 layers of R6.5 insulation plus my 4x4s underneath all my production hives, my 24 hives. And then I leave it that way. I mean, it's that way all year round. It also keeps that board compresses just a little bit. So if I have a windstorm, I don't have to worry about my hives falling off either. They kind of stick to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird how it works.
Do you show that in any of your videos?
What's that, Dan?
Do you show that in any of your videos?
No, I don't think I go into any details of that. But I'll make one up.
Yeah, that's interesting. What's your low temperatures in the wintertime? Like, what's your lowest? Because I thought we were like on the same latitude, but we're really not.
Last year we got down to -8.
Yeah,
1 week. We usually get down to zero, low minuses
Yeah.
for a week or two.
Yeah.
Usually about the second or third week of January.
And you're doing that in single in just a one chamber, like a one box like that.
Yeah. I 2 years ago, I had some weak hives and I had them just down in singles and I put shims and sugars on them and they made it right through winter. And then last year I did about half of them and I didn't lose any of those. And I had some double deeps too, and I lost two of those
Yeah.
due to starvation because they lost the food between the boxes. And all
Right.
my sugar was sitting on top.
Yeah.
And they couldn't
Yeah.
get up there when it got down cold.
Yeah.
So I said, so I found out my hives do better. Well, my losses do better going with singles. So about August time, it all depends on how big the hive is, but between August and September, I get them down into a single box. And I feed them and feed them and feed them so they pack that box. Because I know in another 2 months, she's going to have a little brood to none.
Right. Right.
And that box gets pretty heavy, and then I just put sugar on top of them then.
Right. So you don't even care, like at that point, like if they get honey bound, because it like at that point, it doesn't matter, right? Like
they're not going to swarm after
Yeah.
July.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, that's what Brad said up in Canada there, where he pulled the frames out, and you might have one little spot of open area for them to lay. The rest of it is completely honey in there, and
Yeah.
they'll eat that as time passes. They will eat that,
Right.
and then start generating brood and stuff.
Yeah. So by the time she's ready to lay, then they already ate them out like enough space for her to lay. Yeah.
Correct. And usually by March, there's enough warm days that I can actually check the hive. And if they got still too much honey, I can just move it up to the next box.
Yeah.
Because I'll be putting boxes on about that time. So yeah, I kind of fell into it. And
Yeah.
I kind of listened to Brad and Ian how they do singles and they let them pack them. I said, yeah, I take all the honey now. I don't leave them any in July. And I don't lose hives. Now,
I do. I
one double.
pull the honey crop off in July, into June, 1st July, and then I put my third medium back on, and then we have a spider lanternfly, and they'll pack that honey in there. And then there's a lot of mistakes on especially the 2 and 3 year beekeeper, or even some of the older other folks that don't look at it closely enough to where they'll look at it. Oh, okay, this top box is super heavy and they put this honey away. And I'm telling them, I said, well, that's great, but it's not enough honey to get through the winter. And I had all my top boxes were full of honey, but I still put 200 gallons of sugar water into those hives till they stop eating, just like what you did, Tom.
Yeah.
And they'll get through the winter then.
What do you feed them, Charlie? 1 to 1, or are you doing 2 to 1?
On 2 to 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feed them 2 to 1. I put Apis biologic in it, and they work out great.
Yeah. In August, I do 1 to 1, but when it gets to September, I do 2 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
At the last September.
Well, that's when I start.
Yeah, and I just wait till the very end. I keep feeding them until the end of October, basically, and then that's when I put my top on them. All I gotta do is take my undercover off, slide my 1-inch board on, put my lid back on, done.
Yeah, I'd like to see how you're doing it, Tom. Just out of curiosity, see if there's something that I can learn off of you from the way you do it. Sounds like you got.
This is my third winter doing now about 100%. In fact, this year I did one thing different. I actually built 12 double screen boards, and on 12 of my hives, I actually put the shim on, 2 bricks of sugar. I took the hive next to it, stacked it on top of double screen board, and I got 12 of them, backed up with honey on top of each other. I actually took all my queens I grafted in end of July, August, and all my top boxes have brand new queens in them. All my bottom boxes have spring, all April, May queens in them. So when this spring comes, I'm going to take my bottom queen, 3 frames of brood, a honey frame, and sell it. And I'll combine then I'll take the double screen board out and put the queen down the bottom box and have basically 15 frames of bees and a queen.
So wait, you're
My-
you're overwintering on top of a double screen board divider.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm trying that this year on one of my hives, only because like the population in that box was so low. Like it was like 2 boxes, and I had to condense it down into 1 box, and I thought still ain't gonna make it, so I put it on top of another hive,
Gotcha.
a big hive, and I put the double screen board on it. And,
Right.
and I don't know, I'm crossing my fingers that it's gonna make it, because everybody does videos on doing that, but they never do a follow-up video. Like I'm thinking, well, that means that it didn't make it through the winter, but you're saying that it works, like it actually does work. So
It works. That's how I got the idea, Darren. I did that the first few years on some of the weaker hives. And I said, well, I'll just do this with 2 hives, 2 singles, which each having a shim. And because everybody screams they want their nukes in March. They want them in February. Well, I can deliver 12 nukes 1st of April because I'm using my bottom queen, pulling that double screen out and combining the 2 boxes together.
yeah, that's nice. That sounds good. I like that. Sounds like you got a system.
I'm not young. I don't want to do all this extra work. I try to minimize this. I
Right.
do my own grafting, so it's not a big deal having queens. I don't have to buy them or nothing.
Nice.
And I use my horizontal hives as my queen castles to graft all my queens to get made queens. And I just move them over. And a lot of people don't know that queens born after the summer solstice, that first year, they were 90% of the time will not swarm.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I hadn't had one swarm on me yet in 2 years. Running
It's just figuring
24
out that
production
process
hives.
to be able to do all that efficiently, without just overwhelming yourself, taking care of all your hives and and all that. Like it sounds like you got a pretty good process for it. Yeah, I'd like to see some more.
Yeah, I could buy queens in a fall time, but I don't know. I work full time and I run 30 to 40 hives, so I can do it. And I'm not young. So it works.
Well, Phil, did you get everything packed up, ready to roll?
Oh, I got probably more than half of it packed up. The heavy stuff, the honey and the tent and the tables and stuff like that. The small stuff I still have to pack up.
Right.
But I got a head start on it.
Yeah, I got a nuke here. I don't know. I don't know whether they're going to make it or not. I gotta had a half a notion, like say, Tom, to do that double screen board. I do have one here.
It works. I mean, they just help each other out, so you even got a better chance that they're going to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And I just put a little bit more sugar down in the bottom box. But that's my older queen, and I'm not. If one of those die out, I don't really care because I still have my queen up above.
Oh, so you put sugar above and below then?
Yes. Yeah.
What do you
Yeah. So I have my deep packed with honey and a queen. I put my sim on. I put my sugar in. I
Okay.
put my double screen board on and repeat.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah, Brian, we got plenty to do. We're just not doing it.
Yeah, it's Friday night. I already bottled my honey for the night.
I got to take a break. I had to cook a pizza. I had to just chill tonight.
So, Brian said his market ours slowed down a little bit last week too. I'm hoping that some people won't be panicking and buying last minute Christmas gifts. So that's my hope.
So Darren, what are you doing? Anything in the bee area or?
Well, I'm making some shims, like rebuilding some shims. I didn't like the way I built them the last time, so I'm doing them, redoing them. I got a couple more to do, and then that'll be it. I'm gonna take care of that this weekend. Put some new shims on with some insulation over my hives, and then that's it for me. That's it. It's gonna be in the 50s this week, and then I'll be done with my bees. But I'm starting on my basement thing. I don't know if I told you guys last week. That's going to be my honey house in the basement.
Well,
so
when you're putting insulation on top of the hive, now that's something I haven't done yet. Is all right. You got styrofoam, let's say inch thick insulation. So are you putting that you're taking your inner cover off, or are you putting the inner cover and then the styrofoam on top of that, or?
I'm not using the inner cover this year. I'm not. This is the first year I've done it because I've used a quilt board or quilt box in the past, and it worked out well. But I thought it's time to stop doing that. Then last year I didn't use anything, and my bees made it through the winter. And now this year I thought, okay, I got to at least have something up there. So this is the first. That's why I'm making my shims a little bigger now. I think they're going to be 3-inch shims. Yeah, they're 3-inch.
Yeah.
And I'm putting a 1-inch insulation in there, the foam board, and that's going to leave me 2 inches for my sugar, and then that's all I'm doing. And then I'm not putting any kind of a top cover or an inner cover on it. And
Yeah, I don't use an inner cover, but I do double bubble wrap
So
on my hives as my inner cover.
Now, are you using telly or using migratory covers? Tom,
I use just a board sitting on top.
telly,
Up to the
migratory.
size of the box. They're not even migratory
yeah.
boards. They're just boards.
So
Um,
Darren, you're
but-
cutting a hole in your insulation to give them access to sugar.
no, I'm putting the sugar under the insulation
Oh,
I
so
do the
there's-
same thing.
Okay.
because I think that sugar really does a lot to help me with that moisture that I do get.
So what's the sugar
Yeah.
sitting on?
What's it sitting on?
Yeah.
Frames, I guess.
I'm actually using what do
Sugar
you call
bricks?
them? No, the what do you call
Fondant.
it?
Fondant.
No, it's just sugar. I'm using doing the mountain camp method, but I'm putting it on the what do you call the Swedish dishcloths, or is that what it's called?
Oh, okay. It's just some
Yeah.
paper, basically.
Yeah. You can use newspaper or anything you want.
Okay. Yeah, mountain camp methods. What that is? Okay.
My sugar bricks are about an inch. My shims are 1 3/4 inches. And so when I put 2 bricks down, it covers all but an inch around the around the inside of the box. And then I pour sugar on top of that for that extra 3/4 inch. And when I put the insulation board down, it kind of pushes it down over it, spreads it around. And that's, like I said, Dan, I do the same thing. That's my moisture control, that part of it.
Yeah, I think that does a lot for the moisture.
You shouldn't have
So I get-
moisture if you have insulation above them. There shouldn't be any moisture.
Yeah,
Except
you know what? That's what everybody says, and all that's I know everybody's doing all those videos, but about moisture control, but it really is they say like beekeeping is, what do they say? Beekeeping is regional, or beekeeping is local. Yeah.
Let me check what I said there. There shouldn't be any condensation above the hive. There'll be moisture anyway.
Right.
Yeah, there's still moisture in it. You can probably run your hand across it and feel wet, but it won't be dripping.
Yeah.
That's what I have most of the time. And the bees actually need a lot of water in the wintertime.
And you don't have it.
My bees, I mean, this time of year in February, the bees are moving in that box and they need water.
November.
When
Now,
they do fly, they're flying the water more than anything.
yeah, I seen them this week when we had after the cold spell. They came out. They were flying down around the mill where there was wet spots,
Yeah.
gathering water.
So no, Darren, you
You
don't
don't
have
have-
any upper entrance either, right? Or any upper ventilation?
I always did, but this year I'm going to try it without the upper entrance.
Okay.
I'm
Because
gonna
I
give it a
I
try.
run about 1/8 of an inch upper entrance. just a little vent.
That's the thing that has me nervous. That I'm not gonna try it all. I'm gonna keep an entrance on a few of my hives, but like a part of me feels like I need to have that entrance, and I'll have to try it on a few hives before I'm confident enough to do it.
If
on
you
all my
didn't,
hives.
I don't
if
know
you
if I need it or not. I've done it without it, and I've done it now. I just do a little, really little one.
well, if you put a lot of insulation up there, even more than is on the sidewalls, you don't need that. But if you don't put insulation up there, or if you try to get away with double bubble or something like that, you better vent
Oh,
it,
yeah.
or it's gonna be a rain. It's gonna be a rainforest in there.
Yeah.
And that's what
Basically,
drives me crazy. People go, "Oh, I got rid of my ventilation because people told me to, and my bees got wet and died."
Yeah.
What they don't tell
Yeah.
you is they didn't make that insulative cap on there when they did it.
I probably run about an R7 lid, between my insulation board, R7 and a half.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's,
the main thing is you got to remember is why we have moisture on the inner cover, and that's basically it's a cold surface. The water condenses
Yeah.
and rains down
Right.
on our bees. But now, if you put insulation up there, that's not going to be a cold surface. It's going to absorb the heat from the bees and be warm. And now the
Right.
walls, if they're not insulated, they'll kind of condense moisture, but the bees will take water off of that.
right.
And it should work. And
But
then
but if you do put ventilation up there and you let cold air blow in there,
Right.
it will condense again, no matter
Right.
if you have
Right.
insulation.
Yeah. If there's even a crack in there or anything that's not sealed up, and that's
Yeah.
Right.
And then you
That's
don't know.
why I just do a really small, no bigger than a screw size hole. But I'm thinking it's not negative air. I don't think air is getting in. I think there's enough heat where air is always going out
maybe.
and air is not coming in.
I don't put
that's
any.
my
I don't have
theory.
an upper entrance. I don't. The only thing I do is I have inner cover. I put 2 blocks on it. You'll see me in my videos, and that raises that telly up maybe a 16th of an inch, just enough for a little bit of airflow, so it doesn't condensate up there.
I was just
Robert doing?
I was just going to comment that there was a couple videos out just recently by a gentleman up in the Yukon, and he put like 12 different brood minders in there, and he's done all of the different testing, or whatever you want to call it. It's just field testing, different scenarios. It's pretty interesting. I was going to link it to the chat, and I didn't get a chance there yet, but
That's Tardif. I think his last name is.
It's at the end, Tardif. Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty interesting though. You guys should look at one of his latest videos there. It just came out this week, and I think it was somebody like Cameron Reynolds. Yeah, it was Cameron Reynolds that interviewed him.
Well, he was down at Hive Life, I think this year.
Yeah, he was. He gave his presentation there.
Yeah, he did.
I wasn't there, but I knew he did.
He did, but it was I don't know. A lot of folks. Well, the room that he was in was one of them echoey rooms, which was not the best room, and it was kind of hard to understand. And there it is, right there. I don't know how you pronounce his first name. Tardif is his last name. But yeah, I've watched some of his videos and read his material and stuff. And
But it's pretty. You should take a look at that video with Cameron Reynolds. Though it has a lot of good field test information there, and just in general though, like no matter who you watch or whatever, it's just the people that actually do the testing on it and they do the studies. It's going to condense. Water's going to condense wherever the cold spot is, right? So you always want to keep your top area warmer than the sides and so forth. But other than that, I just stopped in to see if anybody had seen that video.
Yeah, I saw that's a pretty old one. That's like 2 years old, I think.
Maybe I just seen it yesterday, so maybe it just recycled.
I've seen his setup, man, he puts a ton of insulation on his bees, which is he'd have to. What the weather he has is crazy cold.
Yeah, because he has
58.
a windbreak, and then
Yeah.
he uses licensed insulated hives, and then he puts insulation on top of the insulated hives
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. And then he does have the bottom open, but they basically have a trough, is the way I look about it, where the wind can't blow right straight up in there. It has air circulation coming in from the ends. And I think he probably watches, it's kind of like a dead air space, basically, is what it amounts to.
The most, or one of the most interesting things I found about the video was just the simple consumption of honey or whatever. He only goes through 38 pounds of resources over, and it's pure sugar because that whole situation with them up there, they don't want the minerals, but 38 pounds is all he averages in a single deep colony to get them through the entire winter.
Yeah, but it's insulated.
His bees don't fly during the wintertime either.
Sure, but I'm just saying it's crazy for the amount. I mean, if you're talking their average temperature up there is 10 below.
Yeah, 0.
But
yeah.
That's just amazing, though, that 35 pounds of honey or whatever for the entire winter. We're talking down here, we're trying to get 80 pounds on our hives. And he's up there saying that that's lack of better nonsense, that you should never be seeing, more than whatever, 50 to 60 pounds.
Well, Robert, I don't put any pounds above my hive. I put sugar. It's about 7 pounds of sugar.
Weight. He's talking about the honey weight inside the colony. He weighs them, and he said that the weight of honey that they're 35 pounds, and on a double deep, he's consuming, was it 45 pounds? I think on a double deep. So regardless, it's pretty substantially low considering.
The test.
My single deep is probably around 40 pounds of honey.
Yeah,
35, 40 pounds of honey.
If you can keep your
8 or 9 of the frames are honey.
If you could keep your bees at 40 degrees Fahrenheit the whole winter, and then Blake Shook does this. He puts his in an air-conditioned building, and they maintain them at 40 degrees, and they go through 12 to 15 pounds of feed in the whole winter.
I seen that video.
Yeah.
Because that's optimum. Anything above that, they're wanting to fly out of the box. Anything below that, they've got to eat sugar to generate heat. So they got to have carbohydrates to generate heat. So, and I think that's pretty impressive that he only goes through that when it gets as cold as it is, for sure.
Right.
But the main thing of it is like Robert is, I got friends of mine that use licensed tent frame hives, all insulated. And because of that insulation factor, where it's that thick all the way around, and you got that condensing hive where you got a heat bubble up there. They don't use the hunt, they don't, because they don't like Phil says, they don't have to heat up the hive because they've got a heat dome in there, and they maintain that, and they'll go, like you say, 30 pounds, 40 pounds of honey, and that's it.
One thing I thought was pretty interesting about his video too is he puts a sheet of plywood along the wall of his hives because he knows it's going to condense on the walls, but he claims that he gets a lot of dead bees due to all the moisture on the side walls. So he puts a sheet of plywood in there on the outside edge. It's just floating in there. It's almost like a follower board, but he does that so that the bees don't come in contact with that moisture. That moisture happens between that plywood and the outside wall, which is kind of interesting too, because everybody says that, you want now he only does that on the end wall. The outside walls, not the shared walls. But anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting too.
Yeah, it
Hey,
is.
I'm gonna leave you guys alone. I'm building about 50, finishing up 50. What do you guys call those? Feeder boards anyway. So I'll let you
What
guys
do you
go.
got, Jim's, Robert?
Yeah,
Swing
yeah,
the camera
yeah.
around. Let's show us what you got.
You just
I'll show you next time. I'm in the middle of chaos right here, but
you just sold all your frames your honey supers last week, man. What are you talking about?
well, I tried to get time. I'm going to go to all deep 8s this year. I'm going to get rid of all my, right now I have 10 frame supers. I have about a 90 to 100 of those. And I'm going to go, and those are medium 10 frames. And I'm going to go this year to all, because all of my brood boxes are 8 frame deeps. And so I'm going to go to 10 frame deeps. It's easier to, as far as like, I make all my own stuff, so that's really not an issue. But like, as far as like resellability, it would be nice to have the 10 frame equipment. But since I'm having to lift all this manually, I'm just paring it all down to 8 frame because, I'm not getting any younger. And so if I plan on doing this much longer, those 10 frame deeps manually are going to get to me. So I've decided just to go all 8 frame deep, top and bottom. So that's why I'm going to liquidate my supers.
Okay. Yeah, I'm getting away from 8 frame, going to 10, but I'm not going to deeps. I'm mediums on my supers. I'm never going to go heavier than that. They're heavy enough to get full.
Talking with Jim and McNally anyway. So my brain's fried tonight. It's been a long day. But anyway, I think that for the universal, or being universal with the deep frames is just better in the long run for me versus having the 8 frame or the medium supers. I don't know. We'll see.
It's personal.
Well, that's why I use all mediums, because it's universal. That's why the commercial guys use all deeps, because it's universal. You can go from the brood top to the, or whatever. You can switch things around without any incompatibility problems.
But Bob Benny uses mostly mediums on his honey supers.
So I'll show you here. Hold on. I'm going to turn this camera off for a second. Let me walk down and I'll show you my dilemma here. Hold on a second.
All right.
Now try
Aaron,
10 up.
Aaron, one thing I didn't mention that Robert brought up, my bees only got to heat up just that one box too. Doesn't have to heat up 2 boxes.
Yeah. Now, let me just tell you guys an example of, if you have a styrofoam box, it does a couple of things. One is it will hold the heat in. The other thing is when you have that warm up day, those bees may stay in the box because their temperature will hold. It won't warm up from the outside.
That's right. Because I have a 6 frame licensed nuke. It's 6/6.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody else was flying that one day, and nobody was coming out of there because they were fine. They were
still, they're still the same temperature.
In my business, they started doing about 10 years ago, it became popular to start spray foaming the attics. Instead of having a vented attic, they're doing a closed attic and it's got the spray foam. And the first few jobs that I walked into after a few cold days and we had a nice warm up, you walked in there and you felt like you were walking into a cooler. It's warm outside, but it's still cold in the building. And this is before the air conditioner and any of the power or anything's on. And you walk in there and it's noticeably like walking into a walk-in cooler. And you're like, okay, this shit works. Because it does not once that temperature cools down in that building, it doesn't let it out when it gets hot outside.
All right, what do we got, Robert?
So that's over 240 medium boxes already pre-cut that I cut last year. And so that's another problem I have is I already cut 240 more medium boxes. So what do you know what I mean? That's my other dilemma is like if I go, but I already bought 1,000 deep frames after talking to James.
Well, I think you're overreacting. What it sounds like to me you need to do is do double deeps and mediums on top of that, and you'd be happy. Because as long as you have the double deeps, you can do all the splits you want to do. And then you just throw the mediums on there for honey supers.
Yeah. But that's my issue right now is I have 1,000 frames already bought to go to deeps. And then, because my first 1,000 I built, the last 1,000 here I bought, and I have right now, like I said, that's 240 mediums right there.
And 30. We lost him. Hey guys, I'm gonna bail out. It's already 10:30.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to shut things down here. I was just curious, Tritone. He made mention that he had a 2-inch lid, 2-inch insulated lids with no vents. Works great. You know,
Yeah.
you don't never use, you don't have upper vents, upper entrances, quilt box.
I agree with that statement completely. Right.
My
there.
question is I would like to see one of them lids. Is it homemade or is it one of these things that you buy?
Right.
I
I'm
know.
gonna put it, I want to glue on a 1/2 inch, 1 inch high density board on all my lids this summer. So when I put my one board in, I'll have 2 of them. I'll be R15, R16, and I won't have to vent either because my sides will be the coldest.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen some lids they're like the formed lids. They're like an outer cover out of poly. Look pretty promising.
But you should get the same effect out of just putting like what I'm doing, just putting like insulation inside of my shims, right? I mean, it's the same thing, really, right?
Right.
And those are words of encouragement from Tritone because I already got away. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. I decided to try 1 or 2 hives without the quilt box, and they made it through the winter. And then I decided, okay, I'm not doing the quilt box, and they made it through last winter. So that's kind of like where I'm going. Like I don't want to have to deal with that anymore. I just got to make it as easy as possible and simplify.
Yeah, I never did a quilt box or anything like that, and I was like, you're going back to the idea with the quilt box, you put stuff in there and you absorbed all this moisture, but you let all the heat out of the hive too. And
I got to eat more honey to make the heat.
yeah. And
well,
All
the
right.
quilt ball works.
I'm heading out.
Dan-
Everybody have a good night.
All right, see you, Tom.
all right.
Yeah. So
Charlie, it says Dan Weaver, he said uses empty super and push the 2-inch down to the inner cover.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I use telescoping lids and they're all insulated. And I don't probably even need it here other than I need it in the
Well, do you make a telescoping kit with a real wide sides?
Yeah, well, I'll make a sloped telescoping lid, and it's got a piece of one inside of it. On the bottom of it, there's probably like a 1/4 inch piece of plywood, and then there's 1 inch of polyisocyanurate insulation, and then whatever void is above that, which varies from about 1 inch on one end to about 2.5 on the other end, I fill with that pink fiberglass insulation. And I think my average R value is about R7 on those things. So, but that works in the winter to keep condensation off the top. If I can remember to plug my vent hole, whenever I forget to plug my vent hole with stuffing a little foam or something in there, I'll go in there and open them up and there'll be some moisture on top. But if I can remember to do that, which I still need to go through mine and do, I'm really behind on I haven't got my entrances reduced. I haven't put anything on underneath mine are all open on the bottom, and yeah, I'm way behind.
Yeah.
But we hadn't had real cold weather yet either. So here I don't have to worry too much until late December. I can be lazy like that. I could even feed through December just about.
Yeah. Well, it's 10:30. I'm going to go ahead and shut the stream down for tonight. And so hope everybody enjoyed everything. I know, like say, Bob Walker didn't make it in tonight. I'm sure he's dealing with his mom's situation where she's failing, I'll say, and all that stuff, along with the medical people being there. So, all right. Until let's see. Next weekend, I don't think I'm going to be going live. I've got a music show that I want to attend. Some friends of mine are being in town. Yep, next Friday on the 8th. So I will not be here or not have a live stream, but I'll post that in the comment section or whatever you want to call it. Maybe Bob at that time will be able to do something for Friday night. So we will catch you all later.
All right.
See you now. Bye.